The lecture hall doors swing shut with a heavy thud that sucks every last whisper out of the air. 300 pairs of eyes lock forward. The projector beam cuts through the darkness like a cold white blade, and right in its center stands Professor Harlan Whitmore, tall, silver-haired, the king of this kingdom called MIT. In his manicured hand dangles a thick stack of papers, the cover page still bearing the name JAMAL Carter in bold black letters. He lifts it higher, almost theatrically, then lets it drop an inch so the whole room can hear the slap against his palm. "Zero," he says, slow and savoring every syllable. An absolute, unapologetic zero. A ripple of cruel laughter spreads like wildfire. You can feel it crawl across the rows, from the back where the trust fund boys in Patagonia vests sit, all the way to the front where Jamal Carter is planted like a statue carved from pain. His shoulders are rigid, his breathing shallow. That zero isn't just a grade, it's a public execution. Whitmore shakes his head, mock pity twisting his lips. Mr. Carter here decided to grace us with a, what did you call it? A fantasy, something about decentralized renewable grids for underserved communities. He says the words like they taste bad. This isn't a charity drive, son. This is the premier energy systems program on planet Earth. We don't hand out A's for feel-good bedtime stories. Maury laughter, louder now, sharper. Someone in the third row actually snorts. Phones come out. They're recording. Of course they are. This is content. This is viral. This is what happens when you let one of them think they belong. Jamal doesn't move, not an inch. His hands rest on the desk, fingers curled so tight the knuckles have gone ash gray. You can almost hear his heartbeat trying to punch through his ribcage. In his mind, a flash. His mother at 4 a.m., still in her nurse's scrubs, counting crumpled bills on the kitchen table under a flickering bulb, whispering, "You get that degree, baby, you get us out." Another flash, the eviction notice taped to their door last winter because tuition came first and rent came never. All of that sacrifice, all of that grinding, bleeding into this single moment, while these kids who have never missed a meal laugh at the idea of bringing light to the projects. Whitmore steps closer to the metal trash can at the edge of the stage. He holds the project over it like a priest about to burn a heretic's book. The room leans forward, hungry. He locks eyes with Jamal, and the smirk that crawls across his face is pure poison. "This," he announces to the entire hall, "is what happens when charity cases forget their place." He releases the report. It falls in slow motion, pages fluttering like wounded birds, before it hits the bottom of the bin with a metallic clang that rings out like a judge's gavel. The laughter explodes now, no more ripples, just a wave, a roar. Someone yells, "Welcome to the real world." Another voice, female and bored, adds, "Maybe stick to basketball." Jamal's eyes burn, not with tears, never with tears, but with something hotter, something that could power cities if you bottled it. His jaw flexes so hard you can almost hear the enamel crack. The camera would zoom in right here, so close you can see the tiny tremor in his lower lip, the single bead of sweat sliding from his temple down to the collar of the one good blazer he owns. He doesn't blink, he doesn't breathe. He just stares at the man who just murdered 4 years of his life in front of an audience that paid 6 figures for the privilege. Whitmore turns back to the podium, already moving on, already dismissing. "Next presentation, Ms. Langford, you're up." But the room isn't ready to move on, not yet. There's a taste in the air now, thick and ugly, and everybody feels it. A few students shift uncomfortably. One girl in the second row lowers her phone, suddenly unsure. The laughter dies into awkward coughs, because even they can sense it, something just broke in here, and broken things have a way of cutting the people who did the breaking. Jamal finally moves, slow, deliberate. He stands up. The chair scrapes loud enough to make Whitmore glance back. Jamal doesn't say a word. He just looks at the trash can, then at Whitmore, then at every face that just laughed. His eyes are quiet thunder. He reaches into his backpack, pulls out a single flash drive on a worn keychain, and slips it into his pocket like he's holstering a weapon. Then he walks, not fast, not defeated. just walks down the aisle while the room parts like the Red Sea in reverse. Nobody says a thing, nobody dares. At the door he pauses, hand on the handle. For one heartbeat he turns back, and the look he gives Whitmore isn't anger. It's worse, it's promise. The door closes behind him with the softest click, but it sounds like a coffin lid slamming shut. Whitmore clears his throat, forces a chuckle. Well, drama over, Miss Langford. But his voice wavers just a little, and up on the screen behind him, the projector is still glowing, still showing the title slide of Jamal's project, Solar Hope, Bringing Power to the Powerless. The words hang there, accusing. Fade to black. White text fades in, slow and deliberate. He gave him a 0 and sealed his own fate. Because Jamal Carter didn't come to MIT to be seen. He came to be unstoppable. And what Harlan Whitmore just threw in the trash wasn't a senior project. It was the spark that's about to burn his whole world down. Sometimes dignity doesn't shout. Sometimes it just walks out the door and starts building something they can never tear apart. Stay tuned, because respect isn't given. It's taken. And Jamal Carter. He's just getting started. The days after that lecture hall slaughter don't get easier. They get heavier. Jamal walks across campus like he's carrying an invisible cross made of that red 0. Eyes follow him in the cafeteria, in the library, in the hallways. Some stare with pity, most stare with smirks. Whispers trail him like smoke. That's the kid Whitmore cooked. Phones lift the second he passes. He's a meme now, a cautionary tale with braids and tired eyes. He tries to fight. Of course he fights. He files the formal appeal the same week, thick packet, every citation perfect, every equation triple-checked. He waits outside the dean's office for 3 hours only to be told Professor Whitmore has already expressed concerns about academic integrity. Academic integrity. The phrase lands like a slap. Jamal stands there in the polished hallway while the secretary avoids his eyes and quietly closes the door. Then the scholarship email comes at 2:17 a.m. Subject line, urgent funding update. He already knows before he opens it. Discontinued, effective immediately. Standards must be maintained. He reads it 4 times, waiting for the words to change. They don't. The dorm eviction notice follows 48 hours later. Security escort required if personal items are not removed by Friday. So Jamal Carter, straight-A kid from the South Side, packs his life into 2 duffel bags and moves into the Sunrise Motel off Route 1. Paint peeling, neon sign flickering, roaches bold enough to wave. Room 207 smells like old cigarettes and broken dreams, but it's $38 a night and they take cash. He pushes the wobbly table against the window, sets up his cracked MacBook that's held together with duct tape and prayer, and keeps coding. Every night, all night. The blue screen glow is the only light he allows himself. His mother calls on Sunday evenings, same time every week like church. He can hear the exhaustion in her voice before she even speaks. Machines beeping in the background at the hospital. "Baby, how you holdin' up?" she asks, trying to sound strong. Jamal presses the phone tight to his ear and lies. "I'm good, Ma, just grinding." She tells him the lights got cut off again, tells him his little sister needs braces. Tells him maybe he should just come home, transfer somewhere cheaper, somewhere safer. Each word is a knife. He closes his eyes and sees her hands, cracked and bleeding from double shifts, still slipping $20 bills into birthday cards that say, "Keep going, baby. I believe in you." He tells her he loves her, hangs up, and stares at the wall until the tears dry. On campus, Whitmore moves like a shark that smelled blood. Faculty meetings. He brings up Jamal's failure as proof the department is getting soft. Donors at the president's dinner. He laughs over steak and red wine about how we can't lower the bar for sentiment. Every door that could help Jamal suddenly develops a brand new lock, and Harlan Whitmore holds every key. Then comes the guest lecture, packed auditorium. Venture capitalists flown in from San Francisco and New York, billion-dollar funds, the people who decide what the future looks like. Whitmore invited them personally. He stands under the bright lights in his $5,000 suit, smiling like a man who owns the air itself. Slide clicks. There it is, Jamal's face. A still frame from the first humiliation, mouth tight, eyes burning. The room titters before Whitmore even speaks. Some students, he begins, voice smooth as silk, confuse activism with engineering. They want to save the world with hugs and hashtags. Laughter rolls easy now, practiced. Sentiment is not science, ladies and gentlemen. Passion without precision is just noise. Another slide. Jamal's project title mocked up with Comic Sans and crying emojis. The audience roars. Phones come out again. Hashtags are born right there in row 7. Woke kid destroyed trending before the Q&A even starts. Jamal is in the very back row. He didn't plan to come. Something dragged him anyway. Maybe punishment, maybe pride. He sits in the shadows and watches grown millionaires clap like seals while his entire life is reduced to a punchline. When Whitmore says, "We have to protect excellence," a woman in pearls nods so hard her diamonds flash. Protect excellence from him. That night the clip explodes. 30 million views in 4 days. Late-night hosts replay it. Comment sections fill with fire emojis and laughing gifs. Strangers who have never met him call him slurs he hasn't heard since middle school. His inbox becomes a sewer. Someone doxes the motel address. Delivery drivers leave rotten food outside room 207 just for the TikTok views. He sits on the edge of the sagging bed at 3 a.m., laptop balanced on his knees, cursor blinking over the master folder titled Solar Hope. 1 click and 4 years vanish forever. 1 click and the pain stops. His finger hovers. Tears drop onto the trackpad, hot and silent. He thinks about his mother's tired smile, about the kids back home who still play under broken streetlights, about every person who ever told him dreams have an expiration date if you're born poor and black. He whispers to the empty room, voice raw and cracked, "They'll see." The cursor moves away from delete. He opens the code again, starts typing, faster now, harder. The glow lights up his wet face like holy fire. Lines of code pour out of him like blood from a fresh wound. Every insult becomes fuel. Every laugh becomes voltage. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't eat. He just builds. Outside, the world keeps laughing. Inside room 207, Jamal Carter stops being a victim and starts becoming a weapon. Because sometimes the crucifixion isn't the end. Sometimes it's where the resurrection gets written, one line of code at a time. And somewhere in the dark, a countdown begins that nobody else can hear yet. Tick, tick, tick. They wanted to bury him. But the ground they chose, it was always meant for planting. And seeds pushed deepest into pain grow the strongest roots. Just wait. They'll see 2 years disappear like smoke, but the scar tissue stays thick. Dubai tonight, the air itself smells like money. Crystal chandeliers the size of helicopters hang over a ballroom so wide you could land a plane in it. Sheikhs in white robes, oligarchs in Brioni suits, presidents who fly in on gold-plated jets. Every seat is worth 100 million just to breathe the same oxygen. Security wears earpieces and stone faces. Phones are locked in velvet pouches at the door. Tonight the future gets decided in secret, and leaks are for poor people. The lights dim to a royal blue. A single spotlight hits the stage, and out walks Jamal Carter. 25 now, tailored midnight blue suit cut perfect to his frame. No watch heavy enough to brag, just quiet power in the way he moves. The boy who once sat frozen under cruel laughter is gone. This man glides like he owns gravity. The room hushes so completely you can hear the ice melt in 1,000 champagne glasses. A massive screen behind him lights up with one word in bold white: Genesis. Jamal doesn't smile for the cameras. He just lets the silence sit there, heavy and respectful, the way a king lets subjects kneel. Then he speaks, voice low, steady, running through the hall like warm thunder. 2 years ago, someone told me my dream belonged in the garbage. Soft laughter ripples, because everyone in this room already knows the legend. The clip is mythic now. 10 million views became 100 million. The woke kid destroyed became the underdog who refused to stay destroyed. They think they're here for a comeback story. They have no idea they're here for an execution. Jamal taps a small remote. The screen shifts. Satellite images appear. Villages in Kenya, Ghana, Namibia, places that never had steady light after sunset, now glowing bright against the dark continent. Real-time data streams across the bottom. 4.2 million homes powered. Cost per kilowatt under 3 cents. Carbon reduction 18 million tons and climbing. Another tap. Global patents 312 filed, 308 granted. Another tap. Live valuation ticker rolls across the top like a stock exchange on fire. $9.8 billion, $9.09, $10.01, still climbing. Gasps bounce off marble walls. A Saudi prince actually stands up, mouth open. Someone whispers, "Impossible," in French. Cameras that aren't supposed to exist flash anyway. Jamal lets it breathe, lets them drown in the numbers they worship. Then he turns slightly, just enough for the spotlight to catch the calm steel in his eyes. Project Genesis, he says, is the exact same idea that once earned a perfect zero. The side screens come alive without warning. There it is, the old viral clip, younger Jamal in the front row, the thick report sailing into the trash can. The clang, Whitmore's voice dripping venom. This is what happens when charity cases forget their place. The laughter that used to sting now sounds small and pathetic against the cathedral silence of this ballroom. And right there, front row center, reserved seat, gold nameplate, sits Professor Harlan Whitmore. He was invited 6 months ago, back when Genesis was still rumor, back when they needed a traditional voice for balance. He accepted because his ego couldn't resist a stage this big. He had no idea the ghost he buried was about to walk in wearing Tom Ford. You can see the moment recognition hits him. His tan drains straight out of his face, leaving him gray as death. His hands grip the armrests like a man on a falling plane. His mouth opens, but nothing comes out, just a small wheeze you feel more than hear. Jamal steps to the very edge of the stage. The spotlight follows, every eye follows. He looks down at the man who tried to erase him, and the room holds its breath so hard it hurts. Jamal leans into the microphone. 4 words, quiet, precise, final. "You gave me a 0. That's all." No screaming, no finger pointing, just truth, plain and sharp as a diamond blade. The ballroom detonates. Applause thunders like a storm. People leap to their feet so fast chairs topple backward. Camera flashes strobe white. A Qatari royal is already on his phone screaming bids in Arabic. A Norwegian sovereign fund exec is crying, actual tears, because beauty and justice just collided at the speed of light. Whitmore can't breathe. His hand clutches his chest, tie crooked now, eyes wide and glassy. He staggers up from his seat, knocking over a crystal water glass that shatters like ice. Security rushes in, black suits moving fast, but the room doesn't even notice. They're too busy giving Jamal the longest standing ovation Dubai has ever seen. Jamal never raises his voice. He just stands there, letting the wave break over him, calm as a man who already won before he walked in. His eyes stay locked on Whitmore being half carried toward the exit, the professor's legs barely working, mouth still trying to form words that will never matter again. The ticker hits $14 billion, then $15, still climbing. Jamal finally lifts one hand, just enough to quiet the storm. The room obeys instantly. "I learned something important," he says, voice soft, but carrying to the last row. "A 0 only counts if you accept it." Dead silence again. You could hear a heart stop. "I didn't accept it." Another roar, louder this time, shaking the chandeliers. Someone starts chanting his name. It spreads until the whole ballroom is one voice. "Carter, Carter, Carter." And somewhere in that storm, Jamal Carter closes his eyes for the first time all night. Just a second. Just long enough for the boy from the Chicago projects to whisper thank you to his mama, to every dark night in that Roach motel, to every tear that watered this moment. When he opens them again, Whitmore is gone, carried out like yesterday's trash. The lights come up bright and golden. The future just changed hands. Because respect isn't something you beg for on your knees. Respect is something you build so tall, they have to look up to see you coming. And dignity. Dignity is when the world finally learns your name the right way, spelled in fire across the sky. They tried to bury him with a zero. But zeros are just circles. And circles, they roll. Stay tuned, family. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here. And it runs on sunlight. The hospital room smells like bleach and regret. Machines beep slow and steady, counting down a life that once thought it owned time. Harlan Whitmore lies small beneath white sheets, skin almost the same color as the pillow. Tubes snake into his arms. The mighty professor who commanded lecture halls and crushed dreams now looks like a child waiting for punishment. His eyes, once sharp enough to cut souls, stare at the ceiling, glassy and afraid. The door opens without a knock. Footsteps soft, sure, expensive leather on linoleum. Whitmore's breath catches when he sees who it is. He tries to sit up, but his body betrays him, weak and trembling. Jamal Carter stands at the foot of the bed, tall, quiet, sunlight from the window falling across his shoulders like a crown, no anger in his face, no smirk, just peace so deep it feels dangerous. For a long moment, neither man speaks. Only the machines talk, beeping like a heartbeat that isn't sure it deserves to keep going. Jamal reaches into a slim black briefcase and pulls out something wrapped in velvet. He unwraps it slowly, deliberate, the way you handle something sacred. It's the original report, the one Whitmore threw away like trash 2 years ago. The same thick stack of pages, coffee-stained in one corner from nights in that motel, edges worn, soft from being carried like scripture. Now it rests inside a simple gold frame, the red zero circled at the top like a badge of honor. He places it on the bedside table, right next to the plastic water cup, and the untouched jello. The framed zero faces Whitmore like a mirror he can't turn away from. Whitmore's lips tremble. A sound escapes, half sob, half choke. Tears slip from the corners of his eyes and run into his ears. He can't wipe them away, his hands shake too hard. Jamal's voice finally breaks the silence, low and warm, the kind of voice that doesn't need volume to fill a room. I came to say thank you. Whitmore flinches, like the words are acid. That zero, Jamal continues, touching the edge of the frame, was the best thing anybody ever gave me. He lets that sit there, heavy and true. It taught me the world will try to bury you alive, but grave are quiet, dark, no distractions, perfect place to build something they'll never see coming. Whitmore's chest hitches. A broken sound crawls out of him, something between a cry and a prayer. His hand, pale and spotted with age, reaches out, shaking, until his fingers close around Jamal's wrist, like a drowning man grabbing rope. I'm sorry, he whispers, voice cracked in half. I was blind. I was the student. You were always the teacher. Tears pour now, hot and unstoppable. Forgive me. Jamal looks down at the hand clutching his. He doesn't pull away. After a long breath, he covers Whitmore's fingers with his own, gentle, firm, the way you steady someone about to fall. I already did, Jamal says softly. Hate is heavy. I put it down a long time ago. Whitmore sobs harder, shoulders shaking, monitors beeping faster like they're trying to keep up with the breaking inside his chest. Jamal leans in just enough for only Whitmore to hear. Judging a book by where it's from instead of what's inside doesn't make you wise, Professor. It makes you poor, poor in soul. And poverty like that, money can't fix it. He straightens, lets the words settle like dust after an explosion. Whitmore tries to speak again, but only air comes out. His eyes beg for something Mercy can't quite name. Jamal gives him one last look, calm, clear, unbreakable. Then he turns and walks to the door. Sunlight pours in when he opens it, bright and gold, washing over him like baptism. Just before he steps out, he pauses, hand on the frame, and speaks without turning around. You gave me a zero. I turned it into a $10 billion circle. Remember that next time you hold somebody's dream in your hand. The door closes soft as a heartbeat. Through the window, we watch Jamal walk down the hallway. Nurses glance up, then glance again, recognizing the face that's been on every major magazine cover for weeks. He doesn't rush, doesn't look back. He just steps into the elevator, hands in his pockets, and when the doors slide open to the lobby, he walks straight out into the sunlight, waiting for him like it missed him. The camera pulls back, higher, through the glass, up into the sky until the hospital is small beneath us, and Jamal is a lone figure stepping into a world that finally had to make room. His voice comes in, slow and steady, the kind you feel in your bones. Never let someone's small mind measure your worth. The same fire they use to burn you can light your way home. Dignity isn't given, it's remembered, and one day the world will have to remember for them. The screen fades to black, gentle, final. White words appear, simple and strong. Your value was never up for their vote. It was written the day you drew breath. Hold on to it. Someone somewhere needs to see you still carrying it. This story is over. But yours, it's just beginning. Walk good, family. The sun is still rising.